Hi everybody, welcome back to Mando Lessons. In this lesson I'm just going to have a quick little talk about getting a good tone out of your instrument, or just finding the tone that you're looking for on your instrument. There's a lot that can be done without feeling like you need to buy a more expensive instrument or get a setup or buy any expensive accessories or anything like that. There's a lot of work that you can do finding the right tone just on the instrument that you have. If you're looking for more kind of musical lessons, I teach a bunch of fiddle tunes and songs over at mandolessons.com. They're all free. There's play along tracks and tabs and standard notation and lessons that I teach by ear over there. So if you're looking for some new music in your life, check it out. There's a couple ways to donate, which is always appreciated because I put out new lessons every week. But that said, all the information is there, freely available. So, tone production. On a mandolin or a guitar, any picked fretted instrument, this is going to apply to. So, when you pick up the instrument, maybe you get a chord in your right hand, or let's just start with a single note. Let's play the open D string, just kind of to pick one at random. So that's the string right here. You can get a lot of different sounds. You notice, so one thing that you can work on and explore is where on the string, between the bridge and the fretboard, where are you playing? If you're playing really close to the bridge, it starts to get quiet and a little kind of shrill or harsh, to my ears anyway. And then as you start to move away, listen to the way that the tone changes. That's kind of taking it to an extreme way up there, but you kind of go from this kind of brash sound to my sweet spot for myself is somewhere in here, kind of towards the end of the fretboard. And then even if you get up over the fretboard, it becomes more kind of, I always say tubular, I don't know why, but it becomes a little softer sounding. You also start to get pick click on the fretboard, which a lot of people aren't fans of. I'm not a huge fan of hearing that sound. So I try to stay off the fretboard. Just playing around with that. Like, where is your right arm landing the pick on the instrument is really going to affect the tone. So play around with that. Another big thing that's going to affect the sound of the instrument is your angle of the pick on the strings. So if your pick is flat to the strings, I'll try to show this in the video, so it's kind of parallel. The pick is going to go right through the strings. It's going to sound like this. It's got a lot of attack, a lot of kind of, some people call it like thwack, pick thwack. If your pick, and so I accomplish this sound by kind of straightening out the neck of the instrument so it's kind of parallel to the floor. In my normal playing position, the neck is angled a little bit, but my right arm is still fairly parallel to the floor, so the pick ends up going through the strings at an angle. And you can play around with that angle by moving the neck of the instrument and moving your arm a little bit. There's less play with your arm, but I tilt the neck up a little bit, as you can see, and it sort of rounds out the sound a little bit. It makes the pick go through the strings a little bit easier versus and if you go too far, you start to kind of lose clarity, and it just gets kind of silly sounding to my ears anyway. Although you can get some cool kind of alternate sounds. You can scrape around on the strings. Just try to make sounds in the instrument and see what sounds best to you. And then, so now you can combine those two, like, okay, I'm going to play with my pick parallel to the strings, but up over the fretboard. Or I'm going to play with it slanted down near the bridge. And there's kind of an infinite number of options just with those two variables. Another great, often inexpensive way, those have been totally free ways to affect the tone of your instrument, is just to, play around with some different pick sizes. So this is a thick pick. This one's around 1.5. Is it millimeters? Yeah, millimeters. Big, thick, heavy pick. 1.5 is not an expensive pick. I think it was $6 for 3 of them. And then this, even less expensive. I buy these by the like 72 pack because I wear through them really quick. But this pick is 0.6, so it's less than half the thickness of this pick. It's a different material. These things are less than $1 a piece if you buy them individually, and like 25 cents if you buy them in big packs. And they've just got a different sound. So that's the thin pick. This is the thick pick. And for those of you that are interested in the picks themselves, this is a Dunlop Prime Tone. I was using blue chips for a while. They're really expensive. They're like $35 a piece. I love them. But this pick, the Dunlop Prime Tone, 1.5 big triangle. Like I said, it's like $2, and I can't personally tell that much of a difference. Or anyway, there may be I don't know. I won't get into the details of it, but ultimately I freely move between prime tones and blue chips at this point, and I like the fact that these cost less than 1/10 of what blue chips cost. This is your standard Dunlop. I don't even know what these are called. Tortex. Orange, and they're kind of color coded, so orange is 0.6 millimeters. And a lot of bluegrass musicians will use thick triangle picks. A lot of old time or Irish musicians will use thinner picks. A lot of people that play oval hold instruments will use thinner picks. Again, you can use whatever you want. There's no rules, but it's just kind of trends that I've seen. And so you just get different sounds. Sometimes I like to play Irish tunes with a thin pick. Again, that whole set of variables. They all apply to different picks as well. And often I'll use... I use this pick most of the time. Sometimes when I'm feeling adventurous, I'll use a thin orange pick for Irish tunes. I use those more for guitar. But I often use, if I'm going to play bluegrass or more kind of old time or improvised music, I'll use a thicker pick. But it works for Irish tunes too. So yeah, that's a couple different ways that'll cost you less, either free or a couple dollars, to experiment with a bunch of different sounds on your instrument, without feeling like you need to upgrade instruments or buy expensive accessories, things like that. And I think there's a lot of value in sort of learning your own instrument and figuring out the sounds that you can get, without buying anything, just like by playing differently, and even more subtle tonal options come available when you just think about like whether you're relaxed or if your hand's really tight, you're going to get a different tone than if your right hand is nice and relaxed and loose. How much, if I'm playing through the strings, is the pick going to wiggle around in my hand a little bit, or is it going to be nice and tight or badly tight? If it's too tight, then you're just going to be tensing up muscles you don't need to be tensing up and maybe do some damage or something. But ultimately, play around, see what different sounds you can get out of your instrument. Some people will settle on one sound for all the music they play. Some people will play different places on the instrument depending on what a lot of times if I need to play really loud or kind of cut through a sound, I'll move slightly towards the bridge just to get, it's the difference between going and by moving towards the bridge, it gets maybe a little bit louder and a little sharper, and totally change the instrument. And that's just one of those variables. That's the same pick, same neck angle, just moving along the instrument. So try it out, see what you can find. I hope this is helpful. Check out mandolessons.com for a bunch more lessons. Thanks for watching and hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.